meeting to the Boothbay Select to order. First on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I find the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First on the agenda, we have some public hearings.
Do we have any public?
No public hearings.
Okay.
Nope.
It's first on my agenda, unless I'm looking at the wrong agenda.
No,
It says it, there's just nothing in it.
there isn't any.
All right, so public comment? No? All right. I will entertain a motion to approve the meetings from December 9th, 2015, although I have to abstain, I was not here.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion been made and seconded, all those in favor? Okay. So moved. Reports, Dan.
Okay, on to code and assessing. We have 10 building permits, 2 septics. Hard to believe we still are doing septics right now. And also Lori did a tally between this point last year and this point this year. Building codes, we are down 11 from last year. Plumbing, we're up 6, and septics, we are up 34.
Wow.
So this was, and I think that's largely a result of the DEP kind of making a lot of the overboard discharges move out of the water.
Right.
Because some of the new systems can fit on some of the smaller lots. So they've had a lot of success with taking those out of the water so far. They've been very, very aggressive about it.
Good.
Public Works they're in winter mode right now. Just keeping everything ready. We got our first storm, and I think they responded well to it. We're down a man right now.
My mailbox.
Yep, we are down a mailbox as well. In the business office, again, business as usual. Bonnie did want me to mention that out of around roughly 450 to 500 dog registrations, we've only processed about 158. So if you're out there, we'd like to see you come in and register your dogs. Quickly, just to give you an update on the Joint Economic Development Committee, it's going to be, I had a meeting with Tom Wooden and Bill Kalina from the Botanical Gardens. And we'll go over that later on in the meeting. Some of the numbers they gave us, they're pretty eye-opening. But it is my feeling, as we talk about joint economic development, that this is a great machine for us right now that exists, and we should try to find a way to get on its back and kind of ride with it and make this a community event. And by community, I mean Edgecombe, Southport, Boothbay Harbor. It really is something else, and I think, again, your eyes are going to pop wide open when you see the numbers for an event that they didn't even really get out ahead of. So I'm as excited as I've been with any project that's come up in this town so far. So that concludes the reports.
Yeah, say.
It's in there somewhere.
I was looking at it a
I
little
figured
while
I'd
ago.
say.
I appreciate that. Old business, doesn't look like we have any. No amendments to that, okay.
None.
New business. Steve Gottlieb?
Yep,
Thank you, sorry about that.
that's right.
Seek an appointment to Lincoln County Planning Commission?
Yeah, we haven't had one since Jim left.
Yep.
And that makes us the only town other than Bremen that's unrepresented on the board. And I would like to put myself forward to fill that position.
Yep.
I'm not going to say that I'm uniquely qualified. I mean, I've been a business owner on the peninsula 2 times over and owned half a business some time ago down in the harbor.
Yep.
In the process of buying into another that's off the peninsula now, but will be in the area and certainly have a presence in Lincoln County.
Okay.
So I have a great interest in seeing, you know, that we are represented in, on that board. And I think that since there's nobody else to step forward, you know, since Jim has left, I would be very happy to fill the vacancy.
I personally thank you for stepping forward for one, but, I mean, is this something we are gonna be making a decision on tonight?
That's why we can't.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, going unrepresented is not good for any town, so, including our own.
I mean, that's one of them positions that people don't line up for.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, it's not a great deal of
yeah,
accolade available.
absolutely. So I will make the motion to appoint Steve Gottlieb, is that,
Gottlieb.
to be Boothbay's representative to the Lincoln County Planning Commission.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? So moved.
Congratulations, I think.
I
Took the words right out of my mouth.
All right.
Yep, but much appreciated.
I don't know precisely what the reporting procedure is.
Yep.
I know that if anything comes up that I feel you folks should be made aware of, I
Yep.
will, of course, do so. Once I've had an opportunity to go to the next meeting, which I believe is the 23rd of February.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm not certain what the protocol is for the committee as yet,
Yep.
so there may be things that they don't wish to have discussed, but obviously I will make it known to them that I feel duty-bound to report to my town anything that comes up that affects us.
You probably have to send a letter to them.
Yeah, well,
Saying
I'm not
that he's a-
exactly sure what I'm going to have to do, so I'm gonna call them first.
My guess is they'll just want it in writing saying
I
that we've
think
appointed
that
him.
if you just get in touch, yeah, you're probably in writing, but if you get in touch with Stu Smith, that should do it. He's the chair. Chris Johnson's is the
Vice Chair.
vice chair.
I can get in touch with Stuart.
Yeah.
I can follow up on that, and maybe there's some type of protocols in place that they'll have that they
There
can furnish to
may
you.
well be, yeah, but Stuart already mentioned that, you know, he thought I would be a good fit on it, so.
Yeah.
I don't think that there'll be any objection.
No,
And certainly, no objection, but I don't think that there's any I don't believe that there's a lot of paperwork involved.
Probably not. But again, thank you very much.
My pleasure, thank you
Thank you,
very much,
Steve.
and if you have no further need for me,
Nope.
my time beckons.
I don't blame you.
You
I
have a good
promised the
evening.
first slot.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Have a good
I
night.
appreciate you
Yeah.
getting me in and out, gentlemen.
Thank you.
No
See
problem.
you.
Have a good evening.
thanks for coming.
Absolutely.
All right, so we have an opening or an appointment opening maybe for the Joint Economic Development Committee?
We do, and I know we talked about this in the past few weeks, and we have had, just to report back to you, we've had two members that, or two interested members from the original group that have shown virtually for every single meeting.
Yep.
One of them did receive votes initially and was
Yep.
the only one that did. So I don't know what direction you'd like to go in, or if you'd like me to revisit some of the older.
I think Dawn Gilbert has attended every meeting. And actually, I've heard
Yeah.
back from a couple of the people that's on that, speaking highly of her.
Dawn she hasn't attended.
The first two, I think she did miss.
Okay.
But she's been coming to all of them now,
She's
correct?
been
Right.
consistent.
So, I mean, I don't have a problem with her. I mean, she definitely has the community, the town of Boothbay at heart. so.
Yeah, she does.
And who are the ones that had votes before?
Just Dawn.
Just-
Just Dawn was the only
And
one.
the ones that we appointed,
She was the
obviously.
only
And the other
one.
member that has been coming consistently, and I'm preaching to the choir for you, Dale, you know,
Well, I missed
is
my
Wynn,
name. Yep.
Wynn Mitchell. So they, kudos to them. They did that for no other reason than they really are invested in this.
And you have,
They
Dawn
both,
has expressed
they
interest.
both have expressed interest, yes. Yep.
So,
Yes. I mean, as Dan knows, I've attended a lot. I have not even gonna claim that I haven't missed some, because I have. I actually missed, I think there was one Monday night, correct? But I've trying to be as much of attendance as I can there. I think Wynn brings something to the table, I think Dawn brings something to the table, but if the original is, if our original cast, or she's the only one that got votes, I think she's probably the next in line.
I agree.
Um,
I'll make the motion to appoint Don Gilbert to the Joint Economic Development Committee.
Yeah, second it.
We got a motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? So moved. Animal control appointment.
So Betsy has had an issue with the shelter. As I understand it, they view her job as animal control officer as having a conflict of interest. So she has asked to essentially step down. David is willing to take on the appointment if that's the direction you would like to go. And I'm going to reach out and see if perhaps Ben is interested in being the assistant,
Okay.
just so we can fill it. And this, I suspect, will be in flux for a while. There's potential there that we could go back to what we have had in the past, but that's the situation we're in today.
Yes?
I have no problem at all with Dave doing it. I don't want to make it sound like I do, but it would be interesting to, I mean, I know it really doesn't have anything to do with us, but it does in a roundabout way, about how they could describe that. Being ACO is a conflict of interest. That, to me, makes absolutely zero sense. It's been happening for 20 years.
Yeah.
But, again, none of my business, but
I'm with you. I don't understand any more than you do. I think for the time being, because there is the possibility that this might just be a bump in the road, that we ought to stick with just appointing Dave, and then if things decide to flip back to the way they've always been, so be it. That's my own gut feeling, but that's where I'm at.
no, I don't disagree.
And if things don't switch back, then Dave has some decisions to make, and Ben's got some decisions to make if they want to continue carrying the torch forever, but.
Douglas, did you just say you made that motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion. Yeah.
I'll second.
So we have a motion on the floor, made and seconded. Any further discussion? I'd say that's a no. All those in favor? So moved.
Did that motion include,
Reaching out to Ben as well?
yeah,
Yeah. Oh, you have to ask Douglas,
I
he made
was
it.
just gonna do that.
Yeah.
okay, so.
I think really all we have to
Questioning
work-
Ben if he wants to be the
Assistant.
assistant was part of the motion.
Right.
Okay.
Apparently.
Yeah.
All right. Contract amendment for the water district.
So, to give you a background, the water district gives the town of Boothbay a certain allotment each year that goes towards the code enforcement department that is tasked with, maintaining authority over the ponds and the watersheds. And I think in the past, we've had some misunderstandings about, what that entails, and so I got together with John Zegra and Sue Mello, and we had a fantastic discussion. And essentially what we wanted to do is we wanted to really lay out what the expectations are, so that we have a very clear role of what's expected of us, and then we essentially know exactly what we need to do and how they'd like to have us do it. It gives them some clear parameters to work with, to know that we're again, falling within that umbrella that they've set out for us. So again, this is mainly for clarity. And I think we have a fantastic working relationship right now, and I'd like to keep it if I could.
Has Sally looked at this?
No, this is, you're gonna look at it first, and then we're gonna push that to her.
So before we approve it,
Correct.
If she
No, you're not
did-
approved,
Right.
well, you could, but I just wanted to get your eyes on it. This will be an old business item for perhaps a couple of follow-up meetings, because there are also gonna be, potentially down the road, there are going to be, reconsiderations on this, because this will be the first year, again, if you adopt it, that we will work with it.
So we're not making any motions on that right at the moment anyway.
my opinion is if Dan's happy with it, which he is,
Yeah.
and the code is happy with it, which they are, the next process needs to go to Charlie to make sure she's happy.
Right.
Right,
Once she's happy with it, then they come back here again.
yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Mhm.
All right. Paper streets. Paper streets.
So it's come up again.
Comes up a lot.
Yeah, so, and I think everyone understands, there are 3 different scenarios that you can follow. And I can read down them if you'd like. First, the municipality may elect to take no action, that is, file no extension in the registry of deeds. In that case, the incipient dedications for all remaining paper streets will expire, meaning that the municipality will no longer have the ability to accept them as public ways because they will be deemed vacated. Pursuant to the law, the rights in the vacated paper streets would pass to the abutting property owners to the center line of the streets. That's the first option. The second is the municipality may do a blanket extension of the municipality's rights in all paper streets that were retained in 1997. This would be accomplished by recording a notice in the registry of deeds with a specific list of paper streets following a vote of the municipal officers. And the third, and this is the biggest, the municipality could take a more targeted approach and create a list of the streets for which it wishes to retain incipient dedications, a list of those to formally accept, if any, and a no-action list of those paper streets that will be allowed to be vacated for operation of law. So essentially a blending of the first two. You pick and choose what you'd like to save and or if you want to save any.
Okay, so are these specific streets that are being asked about, or just all paper streets in the town of Boothbay?
Paper streets.
How many paper streets do we have?
Oh, gosh.
Quite a few.
We got quite a few, yeah. Mainly in East Boothbay.
Right.
I know there seems to be two trains of thought. One is why keep property that you aren't doing anything with. The other is you should save property that you could potentially do something with down the road.
I guess I would,
I think the first thing we need to do is see what are our paper
exactly,
streets.
I have no clue.
Yeah, and this
Without seeing a
is,
list,
it's because you wouldn't have any idea.
Right.
They're all over, well, you certainly.
I have an idea where,
You
but I don't know
certainly would
where
have
all.
some. Yeah, I
Next
absolutely
meeting,
would.
Put us together and make a
Yep.
list and,
Yep, this is again to begin the discussion
Yeah.
about, this I expected fully to go
Yeah.
on for at least a couple
okay.
meetings.
If you can get us a list, even send it out by email would be good.
Well, what I'll do is I'll try to get you a list along with maybe some of our maps to show you where they lie.
And
But
this-
this, you need to touch kind of the tip of the iceberg first.
And this isn't even my hotspot. My hotspot are the streets that we've actually adopted and we now own.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't think of a good reason why we own them. We're maintaining somebody's driveway.
Right.
I know.
These are, for the most part, lawns still.
Right.
These paper streets. I don't think there are many that are actually even gravel.
Passable, yeah.
No, no.
So I guess, I mean, if we didn't keep up the paper streets, then the homeowners that own that property would be ecstatic.
They would. Yep, because then essentially, they're
You
gonna
know-
get that, I mean, they can still use it, but you can never obstruct a
But
paper
wouldn't-
street.
But
Right.
wouldn't you need to, in order to make an educated decision on the paper streets, I almost think that you would have to talk to John Ziegler, Chris from the sewer district, to make sure, and Public Works, to make sure that there's never any reason to have them, you know what I mean?
And I think that's one train of thought, and, but I just needed to get direction from the board first.
I think that you couldn't make a decision without talking to them two players.
Well, you
The
can't-
three would,
Can't make a decision without even knowing where they're
Right.
at. I mean, right now, you'd have to have like a blank map of Boothbay with just showing paper streets.
See, I can
on
give
it.
you a list of them, but I don't think it's gonna do you any good
Well,
without,
that's what I'm saying, without having a map that you can actually place them.
and there
And I
really
know,
are a lot.
I know down there in Ocean Point, I know there's a pile of them down, I've seen the
Yeah,
map.
There is.
They don't exist.
I will say from a code side, they're
A
a
nightmare.
nightmare.
but they
Yep.
could come in darn handy for the
Well, that's
water
why,
district.
that's why I think, all right, I'm gonna switch hats for just a moment. I know some of our water mains run down some of these paper streets.
Yeah,
So I don't wanna necessarily see those, not that from this hat, I don't necessarily care, but from, you've got it, we're using that as a public right of way. So we want to kind of maintain that as a public right of way so we can keep water main, sewer lines, there's OBDs that run across these things, there's all kinds of things that run across them. So you'd want to keep those. But there's other ones that they're just vacant lots and nothing's happening with them, so why maintain those? So it'd be nice to be educated and say, this one can go and this one we have to stay, and,
And that's why I say this
Oh,
was
it's-
not going to be accomplished in one meeting, because you're going to almost physically at some point probably have to,
The reality of it is, I think between your meeting with John and Public Works and Chris and yourself, I think we kind of have to rely on Dan coming back and saying, hey, I met with all the players. This in Paper Street, we really ought to keep. This, we don't.
Right.
I mean, because they're gonna know a lot more about it than we are.
right. I still would like to see them. I mean,
On paper,
yeah,
on the map, yeah.
well, what, if you tell me if this is a good follow-up, I'll get you maps, and maybe what we can do is highlight the streets. That way you will physically know where they are.
yep,
My follow-up, I'll meet with them, and then I can get back to you, and we can go street by street if you think that's
Yeah.
the best route.
hopefully what Steve's saying is gonna be accurate, and we can just take your recommendation, but at least then we all have eyes on it, we might be able to say, well, there's a reason.
Well, you may have some history
Right.
that I don't, or Chris doesn't, or John doesn't, but yeah, that way, I'll get your eyes on it first, and then I'll follow up with a meeting,
Okay,
if that sounds good.
sounds good to me. Coastal Maine Botanical Gardens, Gardens Aglow event, some interesting numbers in front of me.
Yep, and to speak to that, we have a young gentleman I've known for a while named Adam Harkins.
I just came from a meeting where I was called old, so.
Oh, hell, now, you're back to
You
you.
were at the school?
Yeah,
They don't sell raises on Southport?
yes, they do. They just cost money. Cost avoidance.
So Adam was going to come in. As I told you earlier, we had Tom Wooden and Bill Kalina and I sat down and just kind of went over some of their preliminary numbers, and you have them before you. And for me, anyway, that was a big eye opener. Tom and I left the meeting extremely excited. We again, between he and I, we thought this is a good focus point for the Joint Economic Development Committee. We're going to bring that up at the next meeting and see where that goes. But with these numbers, I mean, we have a machine in place right now that really be a fantastic thing for us to, again, act as a community, act as a region.
Yep.
And I don't know if Adam would like to speak to.
Definitely, and we're willing to, as you all know, I've spoken with all of you, separately and in groups, we want to play.
Yep.
We can't make it without the community, and whether it's, Boothbay Harbor,
Yep.
Edgecombe, Southport, we need all the communities to band together. We're putting 150,000 people now. Our estimated was 3,500 low end, 7,500 high end.
Right.
You ended up doing 36,000.
Right.
So, add more lights, we definitely have to do a lot with parking. As we all know.
Right.
Dramatic pause.
Yep.
Sorry about getting home on Friday and Saturday nights. But it's a moneymaker.
Yeah.
It's we work together, we can make this community
Right.
a winter destination.
Yep.
Without a mountain, without ITS trails,
No snow.
no snow.
Yep.
We got it.
You had the perfect season for that, as far as temperatures and,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
it brought, I had friends from up Skowhegan, Norwalk, all that area that came down here, not hearing from it from me, but coming down here, they've heard from it, just people talking, just word of mouth. That spread like wildfire.
Oh, and we had to stop advertising.
And you were pretty modest with your advertising in the first place, weren't you?
You got it. And we
Yeah.
were gonna trickle it out, and then we were gonna slam it. And we had to pull back a lot of our advertising, because, we had too many people. I hate saying it.
Right.
That's the thing you never wanna say, but
Well, you just weren't ready.
we weren't.
Next year you'll be ready for that many.
So Adam, when you say that you, I mean, it says direct spending by you folks, 228, is that what it cost to put that on?
Yeah.
And that's, is that labor for employees too, or is that just the lights and, just curious more than anything?
Labor, that's a hard number because we were working through that time period anyway. And I think I told you, so when we started putting the lights up in September, we did 2 days a week. And we added a third day because we realized how unbelievable this was gonna be.
Right, how much of a daunting task.
Oh, yeah. That's what happened the rest of my hair. We got to November 1st and we didn't have enough lights. So up until November 1st, we were already on payroll. So we supplemented some of those numbers with payroll numbers. And then from November 1st until November 19th, our soft opening, that was basically additional, you know, we would have some of the horticulture, my staff would still be there, but not in the 40-hour-a-week category. So add an 8-hour here, you know, this guy got an extra 6 hours. By the, all said and done, November, December, we kept our employment up, you know, to 50-plus employees instead of dropping down to 24.
Right.
And that economic impact alone,
Yeah.
It's huge.
How many days was you actually open?
22 days.
Wow.
So now you correlate that to that total Gardzilla regional impact.
Right.
I mean, $4 million, $107,468.
Now, knowing what that's doing for you, I mean, for the community and for you folks, is there, I mean, any talk yet of maybe starting like November 1st instead of the middle of November? I mean, haven't you gotten that far yet?
Everything's on the table. You know, everything's on the table at this point. Extending days, I mean, I think we're gonna have a hard push Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, no matter what. Holiday weeks, that's a different story. You know, we didn't really address school vacations, college vacations, but we didn't think that the numbers would come. I mean, the day after Thanksgiving, we had, what was it, 1,718 initially. Then we went back and we had 2 different softwares that were talking to each other, and we find out it was 3,400. Best day ever. Following Saturday after that was, 1,900. The following Saturday after that was 2,000. I mean, it just, each time we said, okay, 2,000, software spoke to the other software, and we realized we're at 4,000. We're at 4,200, on these weekends.
Right.
What we thought we had, we were double. So last night going into the last week, we figured we had 18,000.
Which
So
is still good.
I mean, we were beside ourselves. So we're gearing up for these numbers. We're planning ahead for 18,000 to 20,000. This is how we're gonna do it, we've got, this is the next couple of years, we'll be able to expand the parking here, we'll be able to, expand the hours here. Then we realized, our CFO said, numbers aren't working unless we're, double charging these people. So we went back and Bill picked up the snafu, we were at 36,000. And that's when it was, all of a sudden you realize Jaws is outside the boat. And you need a bigger boat. We need a bigger boat.
It's a good problem to have.
Well, the problem, and this is the beautiful thing, I mean, with being able to siphon off guests to the community is gonna be huge. If we can make this, instead of a 2-hour duration, if we can make this a 2-day duration, you come, you and Holly go to Boothbay for the, your vacation, getaway, just the 2 of you, go see the lights, go get dinner, go hit the shops, it's,
Could be huge.
it's a
Spend the night.
shot beyond.
Yep.
I mean, I gotta commend Dan and Tom. I mean, they've kind of taken, they've gotten excited, which I'm impressed, but, I mean, everything's on the table as far as that's concerned. I think the town, there's such potential for the community. I mean, for the businesses downtown, for the bed and breakfasts, and any way you can bring people in here in November and December, I think it's freaking great. I mean, it was amazing to me whenever we would go out of town and we'd come back and we'd just see the steady stream of cars, and it was always,
Yeah.
there goes the people coming from the gardens. I mean, that, we all know, coming down 27 in December at 9 o'clock at night, there's no traffic. You might meet two
It
usually.
might be my car, that's it.
Exactly.
One-
And it was just a steady stream. I mean, how can that not be good for the community?
One of the stories Bill told at the meeting was that the folks from T&D wanted to come down and see what this was all about, to see why they'd been running out of gas.
I know going down to Irvin a couple of times, and they're just shaking their head, and I said, it's pretty quiet in here. Oh, it hasn't been. They say, you know, it's the dang gardens, when that ends, after 9:30, it quiets down, but until then, they're hopping, so people are going down,
Yeah.
making that right-hand turn after they leave, so
Yeah.
let's attract them.
We gotta drive, you know, there's gotta be some way that we can light up, you know, every curb, every street sign.
And that's where, what our discussion was, that's where I kind of got pretty excited, was to think that there is an investment. The lights aren't cheap, but if you start to tie this again regionally, Tom's going to speak to his selectmen about lighting up the downtown, you know, with some of these spectacular displays.
Absolutely.
Our common, you know, for me, is the
Oh, yeah.
spot to do it. And then eventually what we talked about is maybe figuring out a way to have lights that go to the garden, lights that go to downtown. Now we segue to these other areas in the region.
Right.
And we create this event where, you know, potentially we have some events on the common that are also going to be family-oriented, that are going to bring families here and keep them here for a day or two.
Yeah, I think it's,
You know, so we can
I
get
mean,
these
the-
B&Bs, the flagship, the restaurants, the shop
Well, the
owners.
financial potential of
If-
people coming down and staying the
If
night
we
and
could
doing
give
dinner in the
them
shops and
another
then a
couple of
motel or a bed and breakfast is just crazy.
Mhm.
If we had more places open,
Mm.
now, summertime, we do quite a few people, you know, through for lunches and, I don't know, 400 or some, 309. The biggest day was 400, and that's from 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock, 7 hours. Our cafe was doing over 300 a night, lines out the door
Mm.
in half that time.
Yeah.
And we couldn't send them. Where do we go to eat? You go to this, China Bus, you go to Bistro, Ports of Italy, every one of them. And if you would go down, and I know probably every one of you tried to go get dinner one of those nights, and you couldn't get in.
my story about Gardens Aglow was we were eating down at Ports of Italy, and the people in front was talking to the waitress and said they drove 2 hours to come down for Gardens Aglow because they had heard about their neighbors that had traveled down here. They didn't say where they came from, they just said 2 hours. And then they were directed from the gardens to Ports of Italy, said it was the best Italian restaurant that they know of, and they were finishing up their meal, and they said, we'll probably come back this summer, for one, to be able to walk the gardens, and two, they want to be able to come back and eat at the Ports of Italy again. So just from one night's travel, they've already planned coming back again for next summer, and that's what you want to hear, and that's what you want to see, and, I mean, it was pretty neat, and the other part to that is the people behind me, they heard the conversation too with the waitress, and they're like, oh, they must have been at the Gardens Aglow too, so they were just coming from the Gardens Aglow on the other side of me as well. I'm like, I'm the odd man out here, apparently I should have gone to the gardens tonight too.
Yeah.
But it just said a lot, it spoke volumes to me, so I thought it was really cool.
I do want to add that the meal that you folks served over there, I've never been into that cafe before. It was amazing. It really was good. I mean, we got there early, so as soon as it opened, we sat. It was perfect. But it was pretty impressive, and it wasn't pricey, you know. I mean, you think of the gardens, I mean, I think a lot of people locally think of the gardens as ritzy. And I mean, the wife and I ate for $40.
Yeah.
Where are you gonna go for a full meal like that for $40? So I think that it's a great family night.
and, you know, once again, speaking volumes, that's what we wanted to do, is not price it out of, out of the park.
Right.
Allow you to come in with your family, here's a family rate, come get some food, if you can't get in, come have a hot dog, come in, enjoy, this is what we've got. Here's a useless piece of information that only I took numbers on. 9 out of 10 people I spoke to that didn't have a member sticker had never been to the gardens, ever. Most of them said, I didn't even realize this place existed.
Wow.
6 out of 10 of those people told me, we're coming back.
Right.
I can't wait to see what this is. I had a family of 12 that lived, they're going unnamed, a half mile. Their whole family had come a half mile down the road, had never been to the gardens. I saw them 3 times throughout Gardens Aglow, and one of the individuals keeps saying, I'm gonna buy a membership. I mean, it opened eyes completely. It has that ritzy, you have that feel, but it's, once you get up there, it isn't.
Hopefully, I hate to admit this, but I'm one of them people. Other than dropping my daughter off to work there all summer
I know.
and going up on the ambulance to pick somebody up,
Once
I've
again,
never
I
been
know.
there. So, I mean, it was impressive.
Yeah, it's hopefully, I mean, when you say you hit it out of the park, you hit it out of the park and the adjoining park. And I think we could slap our name back on the map. And I don't mean the gardens, I mean.
The community.
Community.
Whoever came up with this idea should get a gold star, that's for sure, because it is definitely a great idea.
Good.
I mean, I think that it's great.
Should they get a raise?
Yes.
Oh, so it was your idea? Well, maybe
It
if
was all of
they'll,
our ideas.
maybe they'll buy you a couple of Mark IIIs.
That's what he.
All I know, you just don't want to be in a hurry going home.
No,
And that's a good problem to have too, Douglas.
Yeah, I know, it is. Oh, yeah, it is.
if you'd have told me there was a traffic jam every weekend on Barters Island Road in December
I know
a
it.
year ago, I'd have told you you were crazy.
Yeah.
Right,
I'd have told you that you were crazy.
Yeah.
See, I mean,
yeah.
when I said,
It was good to see, though.
oh,
Yeah.
when it was gone, it was good.
I saw nobody, absolutely nobody that was disappointed.
Nope.
I mean, just talking to my friends from out of town that made the 2-hour ride down here, I mean, they were just utterly impressed. And I mean, when we first mentioned this a couple of weeks ago about the town doing something, I mean, I remember the days of going through like downtown Brunswick, on Main Street. It was all lit up and stuff. And I almost think Damascotta did the same thing, and it's just kind of fallen by the, that's what, it would be nice to know as this is the Christmas town, so to speak.
We want to be number one. We want that, we don't want Gardner, Gardner to be number one. We don't want Bath to be number two. And all these towns around here, number one lake show, number one Christmas village in Maine.
Destination.
Destination. We want to be that destination because people want to spend. You think of North Conway.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Where do
yeah.
you go to shop?
Yeah. Right.
And what better time of year for the shops downtown than
Yes.
Christmas time, to bring people in?
Where they'd normally be closed.
You
Earning
go-
nothing
Or
but
be-
paying rent.
Or be doing very little business.
Correct.
Yeah.
To be able to keep those places flooded with people is a good thing.
We even talked about, again, the old competitions we used to have with the houses, and we've tried to figure out how we could get some dollars worked up so that we could have an actual prize for someone. But I remember that as a young man, that was an event. That was, you'd go out in the car and you'd ride around town just to see some of the houses and some of the creativity.
I would think CMP that's who used to run it. And of course, it's in their best interest to do it because you're burning, they're making
They probably don't
money.
like LEDs.
But,
I do.
but the reality of it is still, I mean, it wouldn't take much of a prize to get somebody into
No.
into it, just because, I mean, if they've gone over there and if they know what the town's planning, I mean, it gets you in the spirit. I mean, I was completely, absolutely not ready for Christmas until you come out of that place. It was just, it's like walking on a movie set for a Christmas show.
It really was. I mean, and I worked 21 out of 22 nights, so I
Don't you have a day off?
I took one day with, I didn't take Christmas, I took a Christmas day afterwards, yeah. It's huge, and it's only gonna get bigger, and
Right.
it's a beautiful thing.
That's your fair warning, Douglas, right there.
Yeah, no.
Fair warning.
Don't worry, we have, and, you know, our 425 parking spots up there, hopefully we'll,
Well, I can always go around the other way, so I'm not worried about it.
It might make the resale of your property a little higher, Doug.
Yes, that's right.
All right, I mean, I don't know, other than the fact that I think you have the town support as far as embracing this and wanting to move forward with it. I mean, I think other than that,
Yeah, well, at some point, maybe we entertain, I mean, again, if we're thinking about doing something like this, there is a cost with it. And we
Understand.
have to think about that, and right now, Tom and I have set up an appointment, just a preliminary, with the gentleman that furnished the lights for the botanical gardens, to see if he can come up and kind of give us an idea of, first of all, what could we do? And second of all, what would that cost be? We have folks who are interested in this now, have become very energized because of this project to come out and, work on the common.
so,
And
We put
we're-
aside-
We're open to helping as well. I mean, the other portion to it is bulk purchasing.
well, that's what I was just gonna touch on it, because if you're looking to expand from last year, and we're looking to possibly purchase, and the town of Boothbay Harbor is looking to possibly purchase, then I think we'd be foolish not to,
Get together.
And
oh,
I
yes,
haven't even
because
reached out
your
to
prices get
Southport.
better.
Right.
I haven't reached out to Southport at all yet, but that's gonna come up in the Joint Economic Development Committee.
Well, we put together, I mean, we set aside, was it 20 or 25,000
25.
for the Joint Economic Committee? So did Boothbay Harbor. I mean, that, one better thing to spend that on. That, I mean, that is the epitome of economic development.
I think you might find some pushback, but that's neither here nor there. That's a time for another discussion, but,
And that'll be a follow-up. I'm gonna lay this out in that next meeting, and just see where it goes.
I mean, the reality of it is, I don't, it's win-win. I can't see it losing for anybody, so. We'll see.
Even if it did go down in numbers next year, which Douglas, no, even if it did, and say it went down, 10,000, that's still 25,000. I don't foresee it,
Right.
but
I think the more it gets out, the bigger it's going to be.
Right, yeah. The word gets out.
And that's where, if we can all, again,
Well,
act regionally, we can have some, say, a festival here, or, one of the things that was just kind of tossed out was an ice carving contest on the, some other ways so that we can play off of that, so we can capture people, not just for the day, but for the night, and hopefully a couple nights, and keep people energized.
I mean, ideally, if you could set some sort of a winter carnival up on the common and have a trolley taking people right to you folks, that would just be ideal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, honestly, you did something like that, I don't think you could find enough parking on the peninsula.
You're probably right. Well, that's not a bad problem to have.
No, I mean, that's exactly what people want. I mean, from the holidays through November and December, and most likely we're probably gonna end up having to do parts of January, but I didn't say it, don't record it, that isn't written down, but.
When you meet with this gentleman, is Adam going to be, may not be a bad thing to have him there too, with ideas, and he knows what he's thinking for next year as well, so.
Yeah, we haven't, nothing is cemented yet. He hasn't gotten back in touch with us, so we're kind of waiting to see what his time frame is, and then,
I would just say at this point in time, no matter what's decided, no purchases should be made until all entities have been discussed, and that way we know if there's gonna be a bump.
between the different players.
Yeah, and we're not, right now, we're just
Right,
trying to regain some air.
sanity.
You're just
There's no purchasing.
basking in the glow.
We gave up on Adam a long time ago.
It'll be, we started purchasing last year in, the summertime, we had plenty of,
Plenty of time.
yeah, and we have a much better gauge. The guy's fantastic, but he also, it's a typical salesman, I know exactly what he wants to sell you at $79 a string, that you can do the same thing that, you know, the $39 a string. So, I
Right.
mean, I'm more than willing to, you know, assist through the whole thing.
So your staff set them lights.
My staff and horticulture.
So, you must have a roundabout ballpark figure how many hours it took you to put them up.
Well, Tuesdays and Thursdays from September 9th until November 1st. We added Wednesdays in the month of October. That was just my staff. And then November 1st until November 18th at 9 o'clock. It was about 10 hours a day to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. And that was all hands. I mean, we're
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
CFO out there, you know, Bill's out there.
Hmm.
So we now can cut it in half.
Mhm.
And I think, you know, I think with some boom trucks or some lifts, we can cut it in half or in quarter. And that makes a huge difference.
Well, that's neat.
Yeah. I think I'm looking forward to next Christmas already. Only for that.
Me too.
Well, I mean, I thank the Botanical Gardens. I think it's awesome what they did this year. It was spectacular. I heard nothing but positive things, and we'll be looking forward to next year.
Well,
Hopefully maybe as more of a partnership than just an observer.
we're hoping, and like I said, just, the door's open.
Yep.
It goes with, you know, across the board, just let us know what we can do, and we'll do what we can.
We appreciate it.
And if they don't, I will.
We know where to find you. Well, thank you again, Adam.
All right,
Have a good night.
I'm going home.
I don't blame you. Have a good evening.
Bridge closes at 8.
You got 12 minutes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Sherry, I'll see you across the bridge.
I don't know, they just told me I can't get there after 8.
Don't worry.
All right, and we have, well, I guess we'll take them individually, but we have 2 Elmo Friend requests. The first one that I am looking at is from Lillian Sherburne. She's looking for some of the Elmer Fund to pay for tuition for the coastal studies for girls.
That's going out on the boat, right?
Yes, it is.
I think it's great. Actually, this is what
Yeah,
that Elmer Fund should be used for.
right.
I mean, you know, we've questioned in the past, don't get me wrong, I don't want to make it sound like any of the ones we've approved, but this is truly higher education.
Yeah, to a pretty good tune of money, too.
Yeah,
$22,000 to send.
So she's requesting 1,000 from us.
yeah.
Which I think the 1,000 is because that's what we set the cap at, which is fine.
I will make a motion to award Lillian Sherburne $1,000 from the Madeline L. Alma Fund.
Second motion.
Okay, we got a motion that's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? So moved. And the next one is Marinelle E. Demons.
Hey Dale, can we,
Yes.
the only problem I have is they are not a Boothbay resident right now. So I think it's a moot point.
It is a moot point.
They plan on being one next month, but until then,
Yeah, I'm not gonna make any kind of motions or approvals on a non-Booth Bay resident at this time.
we can't, it's strict, it's
Strictly
strictly
Boot-
prohibited.
Yeah, strictly
Right.
Boothbay.
Okay, I say we bare minimum table it and either make them,
Bring it back.
once they're officially a resident, then they can resubmit.
Tomorrow.
Right. Yeah, right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Moving on, Boothbay Region Land Trust voluntary payment.
And this is their annual payment. It's just to highlight that they are, in fact, this is a payment that they make on their own to
Yep.
the town, for, I believe it's $2,600, payment in lieu of taxes.
Yep.
Um, So, again, it's just something, it's nice to highlight that they are stepping up on their own.
Yep, that's good. Thank you very much. Land Trust. Second, public comment. Bill?
How much is the voluntary payment?
$2,600.
What year of school is Louise Sherburne?
She's a sophomore.
What's a paper street?
Just little roads that used to be on the map.
Right of ways, there actually isn't any road, there's just a right of way to the
Right-of-ways.
property.
Yeah.
So if you look at a map of, say, I'm gonna use some of the ones that I'm somewhat familiar with. If you look at a map of Ocean Point,
Yeah. There's a-
if you were actually down there driving those roads, the map might show that the road continues, but you realize if you're driving that road, if you continue on the road that it shows on the map, you're driving across somebody's lawn.
Yeah.
We still own the right of way. We could potentially build out a road if we want to,
They're only on paper.
Right.
paper street.
Paper street.
But actually, I think they exist on some of the Google
Some-
maps
some
when
of
you're
them
using,
actually-
when you're using the little garments.
Yeah.
Some of them actually exist, they're just not through streets, they're not.
Are they owned by the town, or the town just has a right of way?
We have the right, as a paper street, or currently right now, if they're a Boothbay paper street and it's still registered in the deed, registry of deeds, we have the right that we could go in there and build a road. So they can't obstruct it, they can't build upon it.
Yeah.
It is, code has to make sure that when they apply for a building permit or whatever, they don't barricade off a paper street.
What's the town's concern about these paper streets?
That,
Access.
access, basically, they were designed years ago, this is how somebody years ago thought this is how it was gonna be designed out.
Yeah.
So they mapped it all out, they said this is where the roads are gonna be, but they were never developed that way. And now the question becomes, do we wanna keep them, or do you wanna let them just drift off? And it's the town's decision to make,
So you can compile a list of them?
that's the
Yeah.
goal, is we're trying
You
to,
have like
We do have a
dozens
list.
or hundreds, or?
there's quite a few,
Yeah,
I don't say
that-
hundreds,
that-
but,
Or 30, I believe.
I was
A
just
lot
gonna
of
say,
them
I
down
thought it was around
Ocean
30.
Point. Most of them down Ocean Point, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
most of them are in East
The
Boothbay.
bulk of
Boothbay,
them
Ocean
are
Point.
in East
Right.
Boothbay.
But I suspect there's other areas,
I mean, some of them actually has a purpose, there's water lines, sewer lines,
You decide
and
which ones have a purpose.
overboard discharges, and there's
Right.
other ones that you could just split it and give it to either a butter, and then it would
and
just
then it just
go away.
goes away, and
Okay.
we forget about it, and they get their property back. The property that they're probably currently using right now is a lawn, and they're maintaining, and
Right.
now we can just officially say they can have it and pay taxes on it. Although, they're paying taxes on it now.
Yep.
That's very helpful.
Probably half the people don't even know there's a paper street on their lawn.
All they know is they go
They do in
to,
East Boothbay,
right,
Yeah, they did,
Why
right.
is that?
because there are boundary issues
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah.
So
There's
it
a-
acts almost in some ways as an extra buffer for,
Buffer between two people, yeah.
yeah.
if they go to build something, and there's a setback from the roadway, well, there's a setback from that paper street.
Yeah.
So they might not even realize there's a paper street there right up until they go to put on a deck, and then they go, what do you mean?
You
I
go
gotta
to
be-
get the permit,
I gotta
they
be
say
15
no.
feet away from nothing, there's nothing there. No, there's a paper street there. So,
Thank you.
Right.
is that it?
Yes.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to review the warrant and sign.
So moved.
Second it.
And motion made and seconded, any comment? All those in favor? So moved. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?